Uganda ey'enkya.
Mr. Speaker, at the beginning, our society glorified excellency. That's why the Joyce Mpangas were able to make it to the top. I want to ask, Mr. Speaker, I am not one of the supporters of affirmative action. I think people need to fight. Those who fought like the Mpangas, that's why they turned out the way they were. The affirmative action, especially once abused, opened the door to everybody. It ended up bringing kunkumura politicians. We are paying tribute, there is no order.
Honorable Ssimu, you know the language we use so for purposes of the answer.
Yes.
If you can just help us understand.
Let me use the word that President Yoweri Museveni used. It brought fisherwomen. Mr. Speaker, by empowering Joyce Mpanga, Honorable, that's why she was able to raise people whose titles, educational background, we have all admired. What, Mr. Speaker, other people do is to promote their children by appointment and military ranks. The Mpangas took their children to school. We now admire them. My message, since Mr. Speaker, you are our leader, is to tell those individuals who think that children can be promoted by military ranks and appointments and wives to think about the alternatives that the parents of the Mpangas took. Mr. Speaker, as we mourn our mother, look at the education sector today. I am glad the Honorable Ssimu spoke. Because even the elite, people like Honorable Ssimu, and that's why I keep blaming him, I know he will not be offended. I remember in the 7th Parliament, Colonel Tom Butimi was appointed the Minister for Karameji Affairs, and he declined. And I respect him. Because when you are educated, it means you must also know what you can do and what you cannot do. When I spoke about kunkumura politicians, today you can be Minister for Fisheries, tomorrow they put you in garbage, tomorrow where, as long as they have made you a minister for you, you don't care. But cannot may decline. But it is also dehumanizing to elevate you to a position where you cannot serve. And I want to invite colleagues who are here, learn to decline. If they are asking you to punch above your weight, please say so that I am very sorry, thank you very much, but I will not be in a position. It is even more painful when you are being asked to be supervised by people that you know really you should be the one supervising them. Honorable Ssimu. You went to school, I am referring now to Let Mpanga. You went to school, did this master's, did this one, and then they bring senior 2 dropouts to be your supervisors, and you salute them. We are here thanking her because she went to school, she was an educationist, but she also loved excellency. That's why when you're talking about her children, you are all very happy. These shortcuts are the ones that are killing the country. So I want to, Mr. Speaker, to say things before I sit. First, to thank the President for giving her state funeral. One of the things, by the way, he equitably gives these state funerals, official. So the other things, I refer you to the report of the Equal Opportunities Commission. These other things are dominated by others, but state funerals, the other day we had Honorable Chamber here, now we have Honorable Joyce Mpanga. When we are mourning, you must also behave. Mr. Speaker, I read the new vision today, finally. The new vision, they are editorial, and I'm speaking
now,
from...
just, Honorable colleagues, you see, when we are paying tribute.
See, Mr. Speaker, you said we need to mentor younger MPs. Finally, I am referring to the editorial of New Vision today. The New Vision today, writing about Honorable Joyce Mpanga, described her generation as people who did not chase after worldly things, and made a call that to save this country, we need to return. I don't know why NRM MPs are agitated. So you want me to be speaking about you? We are speaking about Mpanga.
But now, Honorable Ssemujju,
Yeah.
you see, when you respond to people from the sides, then you're bringing an official communication onto the Hansard of Parliament. Ignore, because they are not on record. Okay?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So the plea in the New Vision editorial is that we need to return the country to the era of the Mpangas. And that's why Professor Mshemeza here was speaking about corruption. Honorable Cecilia is clapping. So that generation that glorified competence, that glorified excellence, that did not pick people from markets selling tomatoes and then begin laughing at them. And this should concern everybody. Someone has appointed you to a very big position and is laughing at you. Says, "Are you leave my fishermen?" And for you are celebrating. We therefore want to thank the Honorable Joyce Mpanga and also ask the family, Mr. Speaker, to continue with the legacy. Those of us who are not members of the family, we admire you. And there is a lot that will learn from you. May her soul rest in eternal peace.
Thank you, Honorable.
The casket before us is of our dear sister, our dear friend, a freedom fighter, a dedicated wife, a widow who can feed orphans without begging anywhere, a woman who has demonstrated that you give me education, I can do anything over and above what a man can do. This is the lady before us. She was an educationist, a politician, a philosopher. I have thought of words. This son of mine, naughty one called Mwanga Kivumi, was asking me, are you going to speak to us in English or in Luo? I said, you try to understand what I'm saying. Don't care how I've said it. So I hope by now he's catching up. Right Honorable Speaker, Joyce Mpanga left Uganda in tears, but also left Africa feeling that sense of loss. Because Joyce's role in the liberation struggle in the early days when women's role was purely in the kitchen and giving birth, that was the time Joyce stood up. The whole of Africa is standing with Uganda in mourning this great lady called Joyce Mpanga. As you know, I'm the chair of the Uganda chapter of the Pan-African Women Organization. And it's important you come to know, you must know, that PAO, or Pan-African Women Organization, came to be before OAU came to be. Before African Union was formed, the women of Africa came together, including Joyce Mpanga and some of our great women of Uganda, stood together and they gave birth to PAO in 1962 before OAU was formed in 1963. Really, how can you forget Joyce Mpanga? Right Honorable Speaker, I've heard from the Prime Minister that Joyce was the first woman to be elected to the Legico, or Joyce probably was the first woman to represent women in the Legico. I think all of us must reread the Hansard and our history. My own understanding is that Joyce was elected in 1960. Joyce was elected in 1960 when Legico was elected in 1957 or 58. The process started in 57. And so the Legico was is already established in 1958, and there were women there. And you know very well that our own daughter, Florence Lubega, was one of the ladies by election in that Legico. So I just want us to understand a little better, because that's why when government is celebrating heroes of Uganda, they forget these giant heroes. These are heroes beyond heroes, who should be remembered before you think of anybody else. So you talk about heroes in Uganda. I'm urging the Prime Minister and the government, please remember those women. They were already bashed by the tradition and culture. They suffered. Today, all we are asking you to do is remember them. Remember the role they have played. That's all. They're not begging for anything. Now somebody is saying, oh, Joyce would have participated in the formation of policies. Joyce just died yesterday. How many times did you call on her to consult her for anything in the development of either women agenda or anything? She was an outstanding intellectual. Why didn't you call on her? We have here on the gallery, we have the Buteles. Yona Kanyumozi died, an outstanding economist. Nobody called on him to make a contribution. Let's wake up as Ugandans and use our own resources before we go out to look for Europeans. For they don't know what they are doing. I want to enrich your history. Some of you look at us with a lot of envy and say, this is one of these ladies who have been in parliament for the longest, one of the longest serving women. And you think it is something to enjoy. It's not. It is a journey of pain. If you are really a woman, it's not business as usual. It's a journey of pain. It's a journey of pain. It's a journey when your husband has demand on you, a journey when the children has demand on you, a journey when a fellow woman is fighting you, a journey when everybody is against you. But you have to stand up and prove you are stronger than the men who are fighting you. Joyce, thank you. Yeah, even the co-wives are fighting you. And the stepchildren are fighting you. Even those who DNA may not match with their husband. Right Honorable Speaker, forgive me for being emotional, but the death of Joyce has triggered something unusual in me. And forgive me for that. I want to remind you that before Joyce entered Parliament to join her sister Lubega, an Irish-born lady called Joyce and an Indian-born lady who was my namesake, Dorothy Barbara Sabine, were the representatives of women in the Legico prior to the election of 1958. So we were represented by foreigners. As you, Speaker, bring some Europeans here and some Americans here, and you talk about the gender agenda or the policies that the Joyce worked for. what would be their contribution? That is the history of Uganda, the history of girl child in Uganda. We were represented in the legislature by foreigners until eventually, slowly by slowly, even by nomination, people joined in. Right Honorable Speaker, I'm not here to talk about the usual that you people have talked about or the government has picked up from the Google's record. But I just want to say that we are celebrating the role played by our own Ugandan daughter in the legislature. Joyce did a lot. Although she was not so much of a loud talker, but Joyce did a lot and used that quiet character of hers, confident, to push a lot for this country, not only for women, but for the whole entire education system, as the minister has just shared with us. I want to let you know that apart from Joyce playing a role in the politics of Uganda, it is amazing, and Speaker, if you would allow me, it is amazing that the struggle for liberation of Africa, a young girl like Joyce at her age got involved. And not only Joyce, some unthinkable young girls got involved and very vigorously, and they made sure Pan-African Women Organization came to be and drove the affairs of the liberation struggle from the front of women, leaving the men still fighting who will be our chair if we come together as OAU. But the women came up and they formed an organization. Allow me to read just a few names, which some of you may want to reflect one of these days. The mothers of Africa. Bibi Titi Mohammed of Tanzania. I'm sure many of you have read about her. Jean Martin Sisi of Guinea, who was the first Secretary General of PAO. Rose Nato of Angola, Hua Keita of Mali. Palma Kisosonkole, I think many people thought she was a Ugandan, and I think she was a Ugandan. But I think later on, when you look deeper, you find that she's from South African origin. That's what it came to be. Rebecca Mulira, our own Ugandan. Margaret Mambui Kenyatta, the daughter of Kenyatta. Joyce Mpanga, our own, please, even if we are born in, clap for her. She was number 8 in the list of the founder mothers of PAO. Fatia Betaha from Algeria. Litimani Muthoni, the writer, the journalist from Kenya. You have all read her book, My Blood is Not on Sale. Foibi Asio, the former MP from Kenya and also a member of the Legicor then before independence. Albertina Sisulu from South Africa. Maria Nyerere, our own from Tanzania, and several others. So these are the founder mothers. And I beg you, if you have any differences with Joyce Mpanga, the children have repented. Some of us women who are still alive will repent. But please always remember Joyce Mpanga and her team, who did not only fight for liberation of Africa, not only to liberate holistically, but also to liberate women. Please always remember the role that Mama here has played. Always remember. That is what I'm begging of you. Joyce, along with other women, of course, converged in Addis Ababa in 2018, together with one of the daughters. I don't know whether she's around. That daughter accompanied the mother in 2018 to revive the activities of Pan-African Women Organization in Africa so that we can become vibrant again and stop the guns which are raging all over Africa. That was the role that Joyce Mpanga did in Addis Ababa recently in 2018 to make sure that we start a new program of how we can silence guns in Africa and start the journey for development and unity in Africa. And I want us to say that Joyce, now that she has entered the casket, though many of us will not want, and I'm sure if we were to ask the family members, they would say she could have waited maybe another 1 month or 2 months. But the question is, she would have to enter anyway. So now that we have agreed with God that she has entered the casket and she's going, what message would she leave with us? I think that is our challenge now. How do we remember Joyce as an educationist, a pioneer woman mobilizer, a distinguished teacher? How do we remember her? I would want you to remember that Joyce Mpanga, the husband dying and leaving her young, and she was able to rear those children whose names were read. Really? I'm sure you had. And you ask yourself, Speaker, you are young. God forbid, if your wife were to leave, let's just pray it will not happen. I'm giving it time. Young as you are. Or my son David here. The wife decides to go. And we wait for 20 years or 30 years and say, now give us your accountability. You will hear, he married this one, then left 2 children, then I... So really, and why I'm saying this, I want the Ministry of Education to stand up to the call we are making today. Let us increase the budget on girl-child education. Because Joyce has been able to prove you educate a girl, you educate the entire community and the entire country. Joyce's children did not put a burden on the family of anyone. Did not put a burden on the government. The mother was able to stand up and provide for the family and the children. That is a commendable message, which has left with us, the women. So we must walk in our footsteps. Joyce, Mama, thank you very much for what you have done. As a widow, you have left us a very rich history. You have not left shame with the children. You don't have to explain, this one, I think my half-brother, you know, after my father died, then something happened, I don't know. But then this... Right, Honorable Speaker, I am here to conclude.
Thank you.
I stepped on the live wire, I didn't know. But take it or leave it. Fellow mourners, the title of the book of our dear sister here is it sad news? Is he not a boy? Whatever it is. But I want us today to change that story. And I wish the family could agree. The second edition must start from today. That it is a blessing Joyce was a girl. That is the message. It's a blessing Joyce was born a girl. That is the message I want to leave here today. Speaker, whether you want to endorse it or not, I've spoken it. It is recorded in Parliament. It is a blessing that Joyce was born a girl. My dear family, I stand with you in this morning. We celebrate the life of our... The Lord God will lead us in that path, which is difficult to walk, but we will all try. May God bless you all.
Thank you. So, honorable colleagues, you've seen why we needed to give our mama enough time, but also looking out for. Last time when I came from visiting Mama Rhoda Karema, I told you, honorable colleagues, and I said, you can make arrangements and you reach out to such people. I know Mama Miri Obote, if you talk to Honorable Kena, would make some arrangements. My mother is in Mitoma, so it might be difficult for you to go to Mitoma and then you come back for a parliamentary sitting, so you can exclude her. We have those we know extremely very well that played a very, very critical role. And you can learn a lot from them. really a lot. And sometimes, to be honest, these people are ordinary. They want to speak to us, but they can't reach us. They cannot come to Parliament to look out for us. But sometimes they want to speak to us, even writing to them, by the way. I saw, Father Grams? Yeah. Saying, he's looking for letters, just hearing from you. But above all, we would learn a lot from them. So I would encourage you, Honorable Colleague. And also, I usually move around. Most of the people who are reading books, they are carrying foreign books. Books of, when you read books of such people, they are very, very great books. So I would really encourage you. And Mama Syria, thank you. Thank you very much. I really want to appreciate you. And I associate myself with the statements that you've made here. Honorable Namuyangu.
Much obliged, Right Honourable Speaker. I join the Right Honourable Prime Minister in seconding the motion, paying tribute to the late Honourable Joyce Mpanga. Right Honourable Speaker, I like your choice of words in your preamble, the preamble of your communication, to the effect that this is very deserving. Of course, the Speaker has been around long enough to know that probably deserving has qualifications, and therefore some people are more qualified than others. So I join you in that agreement that actually this was really most deserving, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, we are here today to pay tribute to an astute leader, the Honourable Joyce Mpanga, who has diligently served this nation in all portfolios she held. On behalf of my family and the opposition in Parliament, I condole with the family and the rest of the country for the loss of Honourable Joyce Mpanga. Honourable Speaker, for her legacy and great contribution to our nation, the opposition in Parliament has elected to momentarily return to the House for this special sitting. Given her strong advocacy and impeccable record in the realm of the rule of law and respect of human rights and freedoms, I have used the word momentarily on purpose, because then after we shall safely return to our clean bunkers until further notice. Right Honourable Speaker, the country mourns a spirited patriot, a mother, and an incorruptible leader who dedicated all her life prioritizing the interests of the people. She has been known as a woman of many fasts, and her accomplishments, well enumerated, have inspired many in the academic world and governance. She has been a known champion of women's rights, one of the first women to be nominated to the Uganda National Assembly, Legico as known then, first African woman lecturer in the Faculty of Education at Mackay University, first female graduate with a master's degree, first Minister of Women Affairs in Uganda, first female Minister for Primary Education in Uganda, and Girls High School's first African Deputy Headmistress. Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, Honourable Mpanga's contribution to Uganda's education sector and development cannot be discounted. She has served in different capacities in the education sector, rising from a classroom teacher to become a minister. She used this time and space to advocate for specifically girl child education. We shall remember her for her candid advisory to Mr. Museveni on the management of the sector, to wit, the management of university primary education, and also the appointment of Mrs. Museveni as the Minister of Education, and of course the non-regulation of school fees in private schools. Right Honourable Speaker, owing to the decline in the rule of law, which characterized the post-independence era, Honourable Mpanga left for England in exile a year after the attack on the Lw'Okufa in 1966, and only returned to Uganda in 1972. While in exile, she switched back to her career as an elementary school teacher. Honorable Mpanga, in her memoir titled, "It's a Pity She's Not a Boy," she recounts the impunity that consumed and engulfed the 1970s regime, and how politicians often got drunk on power at the expense of the people they served. And I want to encourage you, Right Honourable Speaker, members of Parliament, to fall in love with reading and not read history for the sake of passing exams, but for knowledge as they are at the service of alma mater. She writes about a military officer who was the finance minister at the time, with all powers authorized for the currency exchange. She was in dire need of forex to evacuate her husband, the former Buganda Attorney General Frederick Mpanga, for specialized treatment. The minister unfortunately summarily declined the application, and a few months later, Mr. Mpanga passed on. It is such injustices that motivated some individuals to take up arms under the guise of liberating the nation in the 80s. In that regard, the deceased has been a key pillar in the process of democratizing Uganda. Sadly, like many, as we speak today, all efforts to democratize our country are being undermined by the incumbent rulers through unconscionable amendments to the Constitution, impunity, outright disregard of the rule of law. Right Honourable Speaker and comrades, members of Parliament, I want to remind you that some of the very crucial things that prompted Honourable Mpanga to flee to exile are in existence today. The enforced disappearance of our people, political persecution, and gross rights violations, which have again forced our countrymen and women to flee for safety. Until we address some of these issues, to democratize our country, it's not yet uhuru. Right Honourable Speaker, we recognize this granddaughter of this our motherland for her invaluable contribution to the restoration of traditional institutions. She will be remembered for her selfless service to His Majesty the Kabaka and the people of Uganda. Right Honourable Speaker, I'm a beneficiary out of her mentorship. You know, mentorship, the best form of mentorship is by role modeling. You don't need a board in front of you. And to some of us, loyal servants of His Majesty, she was a role model. People like the Honourable Muyingo, with whom we served, will attest to the fact that she was loyal. And we owe her. Right Honourable Speaker, I would like to applaud her as a mother for taking care of her children. She's not leaving behind a problem to the nation, but rather very diligent servicemen and women of this, our motherland. We appreciate her. May the soul of our beloved mother, the Honourable Joyce Mpanga, rest in eternity. We stand with the family in this moment of agony. His Majesty the Kabaka, where she served as a Luchiko member, and the nation at large for this great loss. I beg to submit.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Leader of Opposition. Independence, Honorable Mshemeza will represent the Dean of Independence.
Uganda Yancha.